we open wide the virtual stage where ideas spark and wisdom fills the page. From the UK to the land of maple trees, John and Mike bring clarity with ease. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine, your message taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine, your message taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. Thank you for joining us, we're glad you're here. Together we grow, it's loud and clear. On Zoom we connect, we learn, we grow. Welcome my friend, enjoy the show.
Hey, how are you? Welcome to this Lord Zoom Live. My name's John, I'm Lord Zoom. I am a Zoom community champion. It's written there somewhere. There it is. And also, I am very proud to say, and this is the first show that I can say it on, I am now a Zoom MVP program, I don't know, member, I suppose. And so is Mike, who's with us today. Mike is also on that program. Can't tell you much more about the program. It's just been announced, but that's another program moving forward for Zoom, which is wonderful, and it's great to be a part of. Now, today we'd like to delve into something which sort of got a bit hidden yesterday and a bit hidden last week, because, and we'll be talking about this next week because we're different. There is now a new kid on the block. He is our Zoom mate, and our Zoom mate is the way that Zoom is organizing its AI services for the great Zoomiverse. So Zoom Mate is a AI collection of products that will work within Zoom. But, and this is a big but for all of us, and I think it'll probably be the big but of the year, while these AI companies are happily creating their fantastic wealth with their flotations on the stock market, a lot of businesses are looking at their bills for all the AI they're consuming and wondering, is it really worth it? And Zoom, I think, are feeling that way as well, because there's a very clear definition here between what's AI and what's not AI. Because buried underneath Zoom Mate, which is a charged for service adding lots of AI tools, we have the Zoom Productivity Suite. And the Zoom Productivity Suite is effectively Zoom's answer to Office apps or Google Workplace apps. It is its new selection of programs to allow you to do more things in Zoom. In fact, I was, and I still may, I was planning to try and see how much I could do in Zoom without using other apps in July. I've already come across two things it can't do, but I may not mention that until I do the experiment in July. Otherwise, Eric might run around with his checkbook and go and buy 2 more companies to make sure that he supports those 2 functions. You never know. So I'm going to be careful, and I'm going to keep quiet about those things until we get to July. But my personal July challenge will be to see how much of my world I can use just using Zoom. And we'll see if I can get away with, well, I like the rule of 3. So I'm probably going to give myself the limit of having 3 other apps. And that doesn't mean I can use Adobe Suite and say that's 1 app. That's cheating. It's got to be 3 individual programs I'm allowing myself to get through July, adding to just what Zoom has. So Zoom better have a great range of products. Unfortunately, for us, that's what I believe has happened, because last week, under the radar, as I said, there was Zoom's Productivity Suite. That's how it's called, isn't it? Yes, it's called Zoom Productivity Suite. You have to keep up with all these naming conventions. I must have an interview one day with the person that thinks of these names because they do work. And we have, well, I thought that this was going to be, very much a corporate design tool, build tool, because it's AI first. But actually, it works for all of us because you don't have to spend lots of AI credits to make use of these tools. You can, and you're encouraged to. And the whole idea of using AI is to be able to create things quickly. And I can see lots of opportunities for that, but you don't have to spend lots of AI credits to use these tools. So I'm now going to try and not fall over everything and move around the desk to my other machine and give you an idea of some of the Zoom tools. I can't remember what I left the screen on, so this will be interesting. Could be embarrassing, but hopefully it will be interesting. Let's try button 3, shall we? Come in, button 3. Oh, that looks good. Oh, I'll play with that. Right, let's move us around. So for those that want to know, I am wandering around with my Rode Wireless Pro on my headset, connected to my Rodecaster 2. And I've been using it so much, I've now had to plug a USB in to keep it charging, which sort of undermines really the whole process of having a battery-powered wireless device. But anyhow, this is what we all see when we get into these tools. So I don't know how your menu, some menus are different than others, I know. So I don't know how your menu is organized, but you will find that buried around here, you're going to have the apps. So we've got Zoom Sheets, Zoom Canvas, Zoom Slides, and Zoom Paper. And the only reason it's got Zoom Sheets first is because that's the one I've chosen. Hopefully down here I can see, see Zoom Sheets, Zoom Slides, Zoom Paper. So I can choose Zoom Slides, and then that becomes there. So really we've got 3 little programs here, and I like these. Now Zoom Canvas, you've heard of Zoom Canvas before, because Zoom Canvas is your old Zoom Docs. So you can see I've got information here from the various meetings that I have recently done. I can create documents, and that's what Zoom Docs is. So you know about Zoom Docs. We've used it before. We've played with it before. I can set a title. And then I can start typing. And this is a editor. And it's, it as a, that is, I have to be careful here because I have Grammarly installed. Oh, no, I don't on this one. So hopefully this will not be annoying. This shouldn't be Grammarly. This should be Zoom. So we've got a bit of text editing. We've got some fonts and some styles and some things we can control. Now, I like that. So I've got a toolbar now. I can do underline. I can do strike through. I can change the font color. There we are. I've got a very cheap mouse on this laptop, so I'm definitely moving myself around. I've also got to be able to put links. I've got to format it. We've got some really useful, and you can also make comments on documents as well. Now, you should be able to remember that because, as I said, this is the Zoom product from before. And if I ever do my name, I get my status, which is cool. So you can share it and you can use the docs, and this all works as it was before. And what we started with Zoom Docs is we started with Zoom Docs, and then we got some tables. So we've got some data tables that we could then insert in. And that's how it all worked. And for users not in the corporate environment, this was quite neat. For users in the corporate environment, this was, I think, even more neat because you could start integrating with all your data and sources and information from other places, which is really cool. But now this data table has effectively been given a life of its own because now we have Zoom Sheets, and Zoom Sheets is more of a spreadsheet type product. So I can pull up one of these examples. How about the work plan list? That looks quite good. So let's use that one. Give it a few seconds to load. if you have PPTX's PowerPoint files, I think you could load in up to, I think it was something ridiculous, like 300 megabyte files. So this is a spreadsheet, but this is a spreadsheet which talks to Microsoft really well. We'll have to see how well it talks to other spreadsheet products. But you can see we've got freezing views, we've got all the formatting you'd expect, inserting. This is a pretty comprehensive, to me, a pretty comprehensive spreadsheet program. It's got all the options I would expect to be here. We've got formulas, we've got highlights, duplicates, we've got some help as well. Optimized file size is quite interesting. So this is a spreadsheet, and it's got all the bells and whistles I would expect. And then if you're not yet impressed, I'm sure you're going to be impressed with paper, because this is like weird. And we'll have to have Mike's comment on this in a second. So Mike, stop drinking, get yourself organized, and come and join me online, my friend, because this is really weird. Because the whole idea of Zoom paper is, I'm going to sound really stupid now. The whole idea of Zoom paper is to create documents that can be then printed out on paper. So the feeling I get of this, it's a bit like I don't know, what would you call it? Something like an Adobe InDesign or Publisher. The whole idea of this is to produce quality looking output for printing. And that's an interesting angle on the world of notes and documents. And it fascinates me because it gives me a good idea. See, we can change the theme font. It gives me a really good idea of where Zoom think that they need to work for their corporates. Because let's be honest, Zoom does most of its stuff for its big corporate accounts. And we shouldn't be insulted by that, because it means that they are driving all the needs, but the products will filter down to us. And what could be nicer than getting all the best bits suggested by the big corporates? To me, that is an advantage, not a disadvantage. Mike, have you had a chance to have a look at these wonderful little tools and play with them, or are you just too successful and busy to be able to waste time like I do?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Lord Zoom Live. Am I too busy to actually play with these functionalities? I have to be honest, I haven't, because again, as John said, it was a very quiet release of this, and we went through it a little bit on different other shows that we've also been with, advised as well. And it's really intriguing to see where they're going with this. Zoom is, that is.
Yeah.
And John is definitely correct in saying that, you know, this would actually be a good test to see, okay, how much can I really be in the Zoom universe, entirely in the Zoom universe, to do my day-to-day office productivity, you know, office productivity. Can I replace Zoom with it being an office productivity suite?
Yeah, definitely. Because in the corporate world, if they can persuade a corporate that they don't need to install lots of other software, then it means that this is going to be, this could be, Zoom Workplace could literally be the workplace, and they would then win that fight that they have with, Microsoft and all the others. It's fascinating to me. And I think it's also, it's interesting the way the product starts. You saw the front screen when it starts, and the first thing it offers you is an AI box.
Yeah.
So it's encouraging you to say, and the great, I mean, I'm not against AI. Again, AI is okay if you're going to pay credits for AI and then it's going to do useful things. One of the things it can do, which, takes it to another level, is we have notes created by Zoom. Every meeting I go to, even if I'm not the host, every meeting I go to, I now get notes, exactly a complete summary of what happened and what was said, and that's fantastic. But I can take those notes and I can use them as a source, my source material. I had a discussion with a client earlier. We were talking about how we were going to work together. now I can't show you it because obviously we had a private conversation, but the principle is I went into the PowerPoint. It's not PowerPoint, but Zoom slides. And in the AI box, I just asked it to give me a slideshow of that meeting. And it did. It read the notes that it created itself, and then it turned it into a set of slides summarizing the whole meeting. And I thought, wow, in the corporate world, that's going to be so powerful, because one division can have a meeting about something and they can make decisions, and then they can turn that to a PowerPoint slide and they can take that to their, whatever the next level up is, their management meeting, and they can then present that to their management meeting. And it took them 2 clicks of an AI to go from one thing to the next. And then they can present that to their managers meeting, and maybe the managers would then take a summary of that and turn that into a PowerPoint slide deck, and they would take it to the directors meeting. And to us, not in corporate land, that might sound a little bit weird, but I'll tell you what, in corporate land, that sounds to me like a major saving of time. Also, just so much more accurate, because you've taken the notes of one meeting into the other, not somebody's interpretation of the notes. You've taken the real notes, put it to a PowerPoint slide, and take it onto the next meeting. I can see that. Well, I can see you just doing that and then sending your AI to go and present it next. That's what it's going to be, isn't it, Mike? You go out and go out on the veranda and have a drink, and your AI can now do the presentation based on the notes you decided on the previous meeting.
Yes, let's not talk about AI avatars that look like you or sort of look like you, or a cartoon version of you, or, variation of, yeah. So all of a sudden, and then, it could get scripted to the point where all of a sudden the avatar goes into like a bottom corner, like it's very similar to your, MVP logo top, then you could do, it can get there if that's where they want to go with this. But again, they've got to be reasonable though.
Exactly.
That's the important part, though.
Exactly. And I have heard people in Zoom, and I'm not going to quote them, and I've heard people outside Zoom all say this in the last 2 or 3 weeks, that a lot of them are now looking at their AI bill, and they want to know which part of their AI bill was just people playing with stuff and not doing any good, and which part of their AI bill was actually delivering a quality product, or it was delivering a value to the business. There was an ROI for using that AI, as opposed to somebody being lazy and just asking AI. I can code. I do a lot of coding, as some of you know, and some of you don't know. I do a lot of coding. I have used AI for my coding, and it would be quicker for me to do it myself. However, if I want to share my coding with other people, the fact that the AI can do summaries of the code for me is really useful. So I could do it myself, and I could do it faster. And if I was just doing it for myself, and it was only me to use it and only me to refer to it, then I probably wouldn't use AI. But the fact that I can use AI as an intelligent sidekick, a code mate, maybe, that I can use that to do summaries of what I'm doing. I can use it to, well, it almost blew my own mind, and yet I did it. But I have a product which I will be releasing soon, which allows you to redesign the screen. And I've taught my AI so well on how it works and got it to write markdown files describing all the steps, that I was able to sit down one day with it, remind it of the rules of the markdown describing how this app works, and I asked it to build me a new component to put on the screen. And not only did it build the component, it also built all the controls around the component, and it worked first time. And that just shows to me I have now something where my AI is useful. So when that particular bill comes in for Uncle Claude doing my coding, I will be paying it. But a lot of the other AI stuff I do, I probably don't want to pay it, and I will probably cancel my subscriptions. I've also got a machine over there which is now running AI locally, so it doesn't cost me a penny. Well, it costs me the electricity and it costs me the equipment that I've already owned, so I already own it. So I mean, it's no extra cost to me. But that now has a lot of my marketing and my controls of the business, and the marketing in the business and the branding of the business. That's now all encoded in markdown files. And those markdown files have been given to that AI, and that AI now on that Mac Studio can tell me things about Lord Zoom. And if I ask for a LinkedIn post, it knows all the context because I've taught it all the context. And I think that's the two things that AI is going to be good at when you find the right place for your business, not for what AI wants and Sam Altman's share price, for what you want. There are tasks which you can give AI to do, which can free you up and speed or speed you up. And then there are knowledge bases that you can build around your AI that will allow AI to intelligently give you answers to things based on what your knowledge is in your business, not just the slop that's out on the internet. And this is where, I'm sure they've done it on purpose, this is where Zoom AI really works well. Because if you have meetings and you have webinars that you've created, you can now go back, and rather than you writing all the marketing material, so this Lord Zoom Live, if we want to promote it, well, we do, so we will, but we can take this presentation, and instead of now sitting down and having to write a whole presentation from scratch, I can take this presentation, I can look at the summary that's been generated by the AI for me, and then I can take this to another part of Zoom Mate or Zoom Sheets, and I can say, give me a presentation based on this information. And I might do a Zoom doc first and then refine the Zoom doc to be what I want. Perhaps I need to add something because we didn't talk about it in the webinar. And then eventually that Zoom doc will get to a point where I go, okay, that's a good overview of what we want to do. Now I can give it to Zoom Sheets, and Zoom Sheets will create a slide presentation for me based on those notes. And suddenly the AI is just making me take stuff from one place to another far more efficiently and far easier. And if I can take that into Zoom Paper and then make a marketing proposal, something tangible. I'm not going to have Zoom AI do my slide presentation. I agree with Mike. I'm not going to have a little bot, an AI version of me doing my slide presentation. I think our presentation skills are frankly far better than any of these AI tools can do.
Absolutely.
They can't put in the the jokes and the little slides and the little, they're just going to be deadpan. They're going to be boring compared to us. But
That's
if
right.
we can take
Very
our content
robotic.
and process it,
Yes.
then
Yeah.
so I mean, we could get Mike and we could tie him down in a chair and we could just quiz him for hours about all these fantastic products that he has. And I'm sure if I then took that he gave contact that you would give us, Mike, and then I gave it to it went through a summary from Zoom AI from the meeting, and then we took that and put that into slides, we could probably create slide decks on your products in a fraction of the time it would take us to do it by hand.
Yes.
And your product managers and your sales team, we could do it to all of them because they've all got specialist knowledge, and we could take that specialist knowledge out in a webinar or just in a company meeting, and then you can take the summary from Zoom, you can put it into AI, and I know it doesn't have to be Zoom's AI you take this content in to do it, but the fact that Zoom now has a seamless group of products that you can take it from one place, process it, it comes out the other end, and it can all stay in Zoom for small businesses as well as corporates. I think that is a much easier way of doing stuff. Says a guy who spent 2 hours today. No, that's not true. I spent an hour and a half yesterday taking a presentation which was in Google, whatever it's called, Google Sheets, into PowerPoint
Sure. Yeah.
to edit it.
Google Sheets. No, I think Google Sheet is
Google Slides.
Google Slides. Sure.
Yeah. So I took
Let's
a presentation which is in Google Slides, and I took it into PowerPoint, and I updated it and edited it because I just think the controls are far better. But when I tried to put it back again, had problems with text not copying. I had problems with slides being converted to images.
Yeah.
And then I got a message from the people I'm working with on this presentation, and they said, look, we need to be able to edit the text because we've got a design team here who will, beautify it all for us, but it's got to be in text. If it's an image, they can't edit it. So I then had to spend another hour today going back into PowerPoint, cutting and pasting the text, and then inserting the text back into the new Google Sheet version, Google Slide version. And of course, it's now lost because I've cut and paste. It's lost all the layout and all the lining up I'd done so carefully before. I've just lost all of that. And that's so frustrating. And of course, while I was doing it, I was thinking, oh, if I'd just been in Zoom the whole time, this would have been so much easier. And that's true, whether you stay in Microsoft Office all the time or Google all the time. But the fact is, those two don't have a decent place where we can do meetings and webinars. And, I'm not sponsored by Zoom to say any of this. I get free licenses to try out all this stuff. But that doesn't, I can't go to my local supermarket and say, I'll have 3 steaks, please, and some vegetables. And here's my 1 user license of Zoom meetings to pay for it. That doesn't work that way. I have to,
Actually, we've got an actual YouTube question from Ern, our infamous Erm from
lovely to see her back again.
Yes, and she's saying, John's July challenge sounds like a real test, and she agrees with you that it's a real test. In his workflow, what would he be replacing that he currently uses heavily? Microsoft Office, Google, Canva, Notion, AI note takers, etc. So many things.
I think I can do without Microsoft Office. Although I don't know how I'm going to read my emails because I don't have my emails in Zoom. So that's one hurdle. The second hurdle is Canva. Yes, I use Canva. I don't see any graphics program that's going to give me Canva. I suppose we could use Sheets to sort of do it. So maybe we'll try.
Or Sheets?
Slides. I don't know. Where's that dictionary of Zoom names? I can't remember what everything's called anymore. So yeah, I could probably use Slides, but it would never give me. It's not a graphics program, so there is no graphics. So there's no email program. There's no graphics program.
Well, John, there is the email integration.
There is, but I've never had that working.
Okay.
And I would have it. It will be difficult for me to get that to work because I have 4 different email accounts across 3 different platforms. So I've got Office 365, I've got Microsoft Exchange, and they're not the same, and they don't work the same. And then I had to have a Gmail account because there are some things you have to do via Gmail, like our friends on YouTube. We more or less have to do that. But otherwise.
Yeah, so the other ones that she mentioned was Notion or Notion
I don't
variant.
use Notion. I'm happy to say I don't use Notion. I've never gone down that rabbit hole, and I'm thankful because, that would have been hard to backtrack. But no, I never got into Notion. So I think I can cover Notion with what Zoom gives me. What else? What else did she challenge me with?
And she also challenged you with AI note takers.
Oh yeah, I don't. Oh no. Oh, come on. No sensible person uses AI note takers. As a developer, I can tell you how bad they are for you. They're worse than smoking. No, you don't need an AI note takers. And Zoom's got all the note takers you ever want. I can go to any Zoom meeting, whether it's mine or somebody else's, and my note taker follows me around. I can even take phone calls through my Zoom phone, and I can record and get notes straight out of that as well. So no, I don't need any note takers. So no, that's definitely off. Have I said that as forcefully as I need to? That I don't like note takers? Yeah, I think
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's it. So I did say to myself, I probably need 3 products to add to Zoom to get me through July. At the moment, I've only really committed myself to 2. So I've still got 1 get out of jail card free for whatever the world throws at us. But I think those 2 I'm going to have. I'm going to have an email. I'm going to have Canva for my graphics, because that's where all the graphics are made. And I wonder if I can use Zoom AI for everything AI as well. That may be a problem. I don't think Zoom can code for me. Interesting. That may be my 3rd one. And maybe some AI functions that Zoom can't do.
Well, John, I do know that in Zoom chat, which I've teased with you, when that came out with one of the later versions, I can't remember what version it is, but there was ways that I could actually send you code via Zoom chat.
Oh yeah, because you've got all the different formats of information, so you can send code snippets in, which is useful.
Getting there would be the answer.
Yeah, I just don't think they have an AI in the background that's set up for code. So on my Mac Studio over there, I have a AI model dedicated to coding. So hopefully it doesn't know what a tree is, and it doesn't know, what water is, and it doesn't know the capital of Yugoslavia. It just knows code information, and it works in that model. And we're working on that at the moment. See if we can get our knowledge base that we've already built into there. But that's a job in itself. Once you start playing around with your DIY AI systems, you do appreciate how much work these AI companies have done to put all the infrastructure together. I'm not saying they're not working very, very hard, but we do have to be careful. AI could be this generation's version of doom scrolling in social media. It could be, the next big waste of time using AI for stuff you don't need. Says the guy who, when he wants to know what temperature it is and what the weather is like, asks, a certain Alexa app. It's all right, didn't hear me. And that's a silly use
some
of
them
AI.
might, if anybody was close beside. But yeah, actually we have, I think this is our friend Elliot that's actually asking us a question from YouTube. He says, what would be helpful, or is it a comment? It might be just a comment. What would be helpful from Zoom to use Zoom Productivity Suite, i.e. demos, user guides, programmer guides, interface to Canva? And that was a question mark. And the thing that Elliot Robertson, is that our friend Elliot?
Yeah, that's our Elliot. Yeah.
There he is.
Yes, so how do I answer this? There are some really good guides that the Zoomies have done. When this live stream's finished, I'll go and find the page that I've got marked somewhere, where a great big load of guides on how to use these tools. Again, I think they're written for corporates, but they work just as well for the rest of us. Just if you don't have actually, there's something on there which was really cool. My demo account, which Zoom gave me, hasn't been enabled for AI, which taught me a very simple thing, where Zoom is going to want people to pay for AI and the bits that Zoom gives us for free. Because remember, we're getting lots of AI for free in Zoom. All those summaries for all our meetings, the transcripts, they're all driven by AI type products, and Zoom's not charging us extra for using those. Is it? No, it isn't. It's only the very newest AI tools where you say, I'm doing a presentation on blah, 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 and then it will build you a presentation based on that. Or I want to do a calculation of mileage, of my mileage allowances for my car, for car usage for business. And it will then create a spreadsheet for you. I haven't actually tried that one yet, but I'm pretty sure it'll do something. Those are tools that are part of the new AI toolbox, which is what ZoomMate's about. And if you don't have ZoomMate set up in your account, then don't worry, because if you don't have it set up, then it won't work. It will just tell you your admin needs to set it up, and you haven't spent any money you haven't got that you didn't want to commit to. So it is, you don't feel you're falling into this trap that everything you're using is AI. They're going to send you a big bill at the end. Zoom are very clear. They'll tell you if something costs, and then you decide whether it's useful to you or not. And if it isn't, don't get it. And if it isn't useful to you, that doesn't mean these apps aren't useless. In fact, far from the point. The fact that they can load, as I said, it was such a big number. It really stuck out to me. Like you could upload a PPTX of up to 200 meg or something, some stupidly large number. Because 200 meg means you could put some decent images into a slide deck and then give it to Zoom, and Zoom will then take it over and process it for you. But as far as the other thing that Elliot was asking about, interfacing with other things, well, the product's only just come out. So the APIs and the communications and the imports and exports, I don't expect to be available today, and they're not really there yet. And that's no surprise to me, because Zoom have got to put the tool out that everybody's asked for. They'll get some feedback, and then I expect all the commands and the ways we integrate them with other things is going to be there. But I think integration with Canva is going to be pretty easy, because Canva seems to be, on the Canva end, Canva's quite open in what it'll accept. And so I don't think it's going to be hard. But at this point, it's only been a week. It's not even been a week, Mike, is it? I suppose it's been 9 days, because it was sort of announced last Monday. But
yeah, just a week.
We don't know what, I don't know what the format is. I don't think I've seen it written down anywhere. So I don't think we can answer what format it is and whether Canva will read it straight away, but I'm sure it will work really soon. And if it doesn't, I will just put my developer's hat on, which is only over there. It's only over there. I will put my developer's hat on, and I will write the links to it. As soon as I see the data on that particular feature and how it talks to other apps, then I'll write the data on it. Which is the time for me to do a quick plug that I have submitted to the Zoom Marketplace. Please, Marketplace, thank you very much for accepting my app. Now, please publish it for me. I have published an app to allow you to import and export polls. Because how wonderful Zoom is, you can't get a poll from one account to another. In fact, you can't even get it from one user to another. If you've got webinars and events, you've got all the polls to manage. But if you're not using that product, or you're just using polls in meetings, there's no way to get your Zoom Hub poll from one user to another. And there certainly isn't a way to get from one user's account to another. So I couldn't do a poll and then send it to Mike, because there's nothing in Zoom to do it. Well, there is soon, because I have created a little import-export function for the Marketplace. I hope it'll be available soon. Hopefully it'll be available soon. It better be available soon. And it just very, 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 very simply allows you to choose a poll, exports it in a nice, simple file format, and then you can import it into, you can even play around with it if you want to be really cheeky and daring, but then you can import it into somebody else's account. They use the same app, and that way you can get polls. And the reason for that is we had on the community forums, we had teachers. And I know there's lots of other uses, because once I started mentioning it, people say, oh yeah, we could use that. But we had some teachers who had some poll questions that they're using for students. And they were so frustrated that they couldn't get this, the one teacher couldn't give the poll questions to another teacher to send out to their class. So that inspired me to build the app. And as I said, it'll be around soon. And sometimes those little things that Zoom, I won't say hasn't got the time, because it hasn't got the time, but I don't really want to say it. There's so much for them to do. Sometimes there are little things which we need to do to help them. And I'm sure getting the data into Canva is going to be relatively easy, but it might take a few weeks yet before we can have it supported, Elliot. I think that's all of Elliot's comments and questions that I covered, Mike. Of course, now you're going to have to go back into Zoom notes and see if I did cover them all.
No, and the other one he was just saying, Elliot did actually say, he says, Zoom is asking for feedback on Zoom Productivity Suite. Zoom is asking for feedback.
Exactly.
Yep.
And it does all the time. Quite often, if you're in the Zoom, let's have another plug, shall we? If you're in the Zoom community forums, and if you haven't signed up, please sign up for the Zoom community forums, because we are at 498,000 members of the Zoom community forums. We only need, I think it's something stupid, like 1,200 more people to join to get to our 500,000 members. So please join, and you will, if you do, you will find, I've just heard a message, somebody saying they want to join now. You will find in the Zoom community forums, now and again, a Zoomie who's responsible for a particular product will post in there and say, I am looking to interview people on, and then they'll give you a product that they're using and a sort of a use case that they want to investigate. And you can subscribe to that. Don't play around with them. Don't be cheeky. Don't be naughty. Don't cause trouble, because if you do, you might find that you can never get into Zoom again. All right. I'm not threatening you. I'm just warning you. Don't muck around with these product managers, because they have reporting controls, which would mean that you could effectively never get into Zoom again. I'm not saying they would do that, but I'm just saying don't. All right. However, if you do have a really good use case and a really good story and a really good idea, when those product managers pop up, they will have 15, 20 minutes with you, ask you their questions. You can give them the feedback, and they take that back, because Zoom is driven by its customers. It might be driven a little bit more by the biggest customers, but that's for normal. But what those big customers do influences where Zoom goes. Oh dear, we say. What about us? Well, what about us is every time Zoom does something at the big end, it filters down to everybody else. The features in the free version of Zoom are just mind-boggling. I'll tell you what, if I was in charge, I wouldn't give you that many features for a free account. Really wouldn't. I'm gobsmacked. And frankly, the amount of money you guys spend on mobile phones, you've got no justification in my little head to not buy a decent version, paid version of Zoom. Zoom Pro, at least. Mind you, I've got a warning for you, because once you've got Zoom Pro, I'll be persuading you to buy Zoom Business. Not because I get any commission from Zoom. I don't get anything from Zoom for saying that. But what I know from my own personal experience is when you get all the extra little features like Zoom Phone and all the other little Zoom Schedule that you get in Zoom Business, it's not difficult for me to give you an argument for why you should upgrade to that particular product. But all of them have got these productivity suites, and I think they are brilliant. Have I persuaded Mike? Shall I show you a bit more, Mike? Is there a particular use case or a particular question you have about them that we can have a go at?
Interesting. Actually, that's a good question to open up to our viewers. If you actually have a certain business case that you want John to pretend, by all means, let me know in chat. But is very curious to see how well you go through July, if you're actually going to actually take your own challenge on. And she's saying, if you're happy with the user experience and quality, especially for presentations.
I think the easiest answer to that is follow along and see. But the whole reason that Zoom lent me, probably better word, isn't it, Mike? Lent me a whole suite of Zoom products is for me to play with and to give feedback on. And then when people in the community, because again, I'm going to plug that community forum again. Many of my ideas are my own, but probably some of the better ideas come from people asking questions in the Zoom community forum. And they will ask me a question, and I go in my head, oh, I know the answer to that. But quite often I will think to myself, I think I'll just check. And I will then use my license to get into, which is really good. The main reason it's really good is I can break stuff in that account, and I don't lose my own personal work because I'm got a separate account for doing it. So I can go into that account and I will try and do what they say. Sometimes I use I don't know what it's called now, but anyhow, I use the little screen capture tool, either on the Mac or the Windows machine. They've both got the same thing. So quite often when I do an answer to somebody's community forum post, I'll pull up the scenario they have. Maybe they can't find a button, or they don't know where a button works or whatever. I will go to that place in Zoom. I will get to that place, and then I'll do a screen grab of the thing that I'm talking about, and maybe I'll use a little red box to highlight something, and then I'll cut and paste that into the forum and send that back in the forum as an answer, so that they can not only see that I've given a verbal answer of, yes, you can do it by doing it this way, but I've given them like a little screen share of how you do it. And that's really useful. And I will probably do that. I'm going to probably do that for July. I'll probably get really boring and challenge the tattooed nerd for doing a daily Zoom broadcast on the various things that I do and see how that works. But it's only when you play with this stuff that you find out whether it works or not. And frankly, we have to do that. But although it sounds like I'm doing everything, I'm trying to sound like I'm some generous person doing it. Every time, and Mike will know this better than anyone, every time I do this sort of thing, by the end of the week, I will have another idea for another app that I need to create. I've got enough app ideas to keep me going till Christmas.
Yeah,
because
sometimes it's within a day, sometimes within, a couple of days, maybe it might be actually a week, but it might, depending on, what we stumble upon.
Yeah. But that's how I joined Toastmasters because I wanted to learn public speaking. And when COVID hit and Toastmasters stopped working, we had to work out how to go online, and we ended up on Zoom. So Toastmasters saved my life emotionally because I was a carer, and all I had was this speaking organization meeting once a fortnight. That was taken away from me, and Zoom then saved my life the second time because Zoom gave me a way that it would carry on speaking to my Toastmasters even though I couldn't, because of COVID, see them. So Zoom to me has a very special place, and without it I would not have been able to emotionally keep going and looking after my parents in their final years. But both Toastmasters and Zoom have a principle which is really important, and it's important for you as well. And that is, the more you give, the more you get in this world, especially the way now we're all socially connected and emotionally connected and fibrously connected. The more you give out, the more you get back. It really does make a difference. If I wasn't sharing all these things, then all the people that I work with wouldn't share back to me. And it is a great principle business. I'm not in competition with anyone anymore. I'm only in competition with my own self. Nobody's in competition with me because I have a unique world, and we're all unique, and we all have a unique world. We don't all want to be Mr. Beast because we're not Mr. Beast. We're all different people. We'll all succeed in our own different ways. And that's what success is all about. It's being the best version of yourself. Because if you're not, there's no copy of you, there's no clone. Well, not for a while anyhow, but there's certainly at the moment, there's no clone version of you that's going to come along and do a better job. So you've got to do a good job of being yourself. And the nice thing about Zoom is they create these things because somebody asks them. And once they've got it, as our friend Elliot says, they then say, well, is it any good? We've got this product here. We've just produced it. Allows you to do slides. So you can do slideshows in Zoom. Does it work? Is there anything wrong with it? Is there anything missing? What do you think about it? And they will take that feedback, and then they will decide what they add next. No, they can't do it overnight because it's a big organization. It takes engineering. It takes so much infrastructure to run this because these are literally millions of people using these products. So they can't do it overnight, but they do take notice of people's comments. They do take notice of people's feedback. Mike and I could probably sit down one evening and we could find, I don't know, 10, maybe 20 things that in one of our live shows we've talked about, and suspiciously Zoom have done it. Now, sometimes it might just be coincidence that we had the same idea as somebody else, but the fact is Zoom does listen to things, and we've even had a situation on a Friday night when we complained that something wasn't working, and a Zoomie sat down and fixed it before the show had finished. Or it fixed it already and just released the version. We don't know. But the point is, Zoom listens. And that's why it is successful. And that's why any business is successful, because the only person that knows exactly what a customer wants is the customer. And we're all customers of Zoom, and Zoom comes to us and says, can you do this? And Mike can tell you every single flaw in Production Studio, which we're using to do this presentation. But he can also tell you every little trick and every little way of getting around the system and every little bonus feature that you probably never thought of, because Mike's using it at least twice a week.
Yeah, at least twice. Yes, twice a week. Yes, definitely. Twice a week at this point. Yes.
And that is important because, again, I could give you an F1 car or a NASCAR, but unless you know how to drive really well, you'd never make use of that tool. And that's the biggest challenge Zoom has. To bring out all these new features, we now have to encourage you to make use of them, to make use of your license. And then you can come back and tell us what you can't do yet. And then Zoom will hopefully then bring us forward again. So what's my summary of these productivity apps? I think they are a very good start. They're not some fudge. We're always a bit suspicious of Zoom in June because they tend to all have their holidays between now and September. So we're always suspicious that Zoom will try and get everything sorted out and out during June so they can all go away for July and August, and we can just play with the stuff and they come back in September and find out how we got on. So there is a sort of time zone thing about Zoom releasing products. But if you look at, you only have to open the documents and look at the menus, and you can see that they've already produced a good selection of features for these products. And so I'm confident that I'll get through July with their products working within those areas quite well. And I'm confident that these are going to be good little tools. And I'm also confident that if you don't like AI, or you're concerned about spending a fortune on AI, which, you know, a lot of businesses are and a lot of people are, although they try and tell you to, or they try and encourage you to use AI to kickstart whatever you're doing, you don't need to use AI to use these products if you don't want to. You can start from scratch, or you can import stuff from somewhere else. You don't have to use AI. You're not forced to use AI to use these tools. It looks a bit like it because of the way they've structured it. And I understand that, because that's where the corporates will want to do, as we talked about earlier, about taking something from somewhere and turning it to something else using the AI, and then you get your slide deck without even having to write anything. But I think these are good tools. I think they're very good tools. And I'm, in a way, actually, I think Zoom Paper's the most interesting one, because they've actually worked out that taking notes online is one type of note. But when you need to turn it back into paper to be a document or a brochure or a thing to put on the wall in the office, that needs a certain type of quality, and they've created an app specifically for it. That to me is cool. I like that, because you can make your product brochures with that, Mike, couldn't you, effectively?
Sure. Yeah, it takes me back a little bit to, again, it's a little early of a version, but if everybody remembers back in the old original Office days, we had something called Microsoft Publisher.
Yes.
Microsoft Publisher. Could they be reincarnating a Microsoft Publisher? You never
Indeed.
know what Zoom's up to.
Well, yeah, and if you take Adobe, because Adobe have got that big suite of software, they've got a specific product for producing printable content. So it's definitely a use case which is needed in a lot of places. So I can't think what Google or Microsoft would suggest as their. No, I can't. I don't think, as you say, there was Microsoft Publisher. I don't think there is anything similar to that in the Microsoft stable at the moment. Somebody's going to correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of one.
One that is closest, again, would be PowerPoint per se, but you really wouldn't want to do PowerPoint and publish a PowerPoint slide. You wouldn't want to go down that road. Yeah. Properly. The InDesign, as you're talking on the Adobe side, there are a few, open source based products that will get you your EPSs and your, again, the certain formats that you will need for making sure that, for signage, for publishing, it's there, it's ready to go. But right now on the Microsoft end, Word, yes, but not, I would never use Word as a word publisher. Not like Publisher used to be. No. Microsoft Publisher.
So you're right. It's like the world has gone, the tech has gone full circle. At long last now, we want quality output for our brochures. And if they can have that and they can use the AI for the corporates to be able to make those brochures quickly, the only caveat I have, and I'll have to play with it to find it out, is at some point, somebody in your corporate, and actually you yourself are probably going to want it in the other businesses, is going to say the word branding. So how I don't know, maybe you're going to have to teach the AI what your branding rules are so that it can create properly branded products. That's going to be an interesting challenge.
You could actually, again, if as our brands do, we do have brand guidelines so that the brand actually has, again, when we have it publicly, example, if one of our dealers wants to have the logos of the content or the products SKUs, we make sure that, here are the actual main images that you're getting it from us as a dealer. And you make sure that when you put it on your web store or your online presence of sorts, that, it is our images, not images that you found from somebody else that have been skewed in one flavor or another, or distorted in one way or another. And we could tell, and usually our sales team will reach out to our dealers that have done the silly thing and not actually downloaded our proper brand guideline documentation and the proper, images that we have from the brand, that the brand has taken a lot of time, sometimes days, make sure that it is just so that we can make sure that it's just so on all of our dealers' presence. But some dealers are like, oh no, let me just go to the website and I'll save as from there and then work with it. And then it looks like wonderful.
I think that's something I'm going to be looking at in July. If I can encourage, that's a good choice of word, isn't it? If I can encourage Zoom tools to stick to some brand guidelines and how I can do that, because I think that will be that's going to be an issue with the corporates even more than anybody else. So I'm sure. Now I can't, when Zoom support this, I can't claim it was my idea, because I just know that's what corporates are going to say. The corporate marketing department is going to say, if you're going to produce these slide decks automatically from your notes from your meetings, in the example I gave earlier, or any other example you can think of, the marketing department is going to say, if it doesn't turn up with the branding template part of the mix, then it's not worth it, because we're only going to have to edit it at the end. So that will be, that will be it.
So that in itself would be interesting, because there are specific, marketing departments will give you just a template file, which
Yeah.
is, if you want to do a 2-box in the PowerPoint or a 1-box in the PowerPoint, everything's all laid out properly. You want it to be a full screen, fine, or you want it to be within, but they give you like everything is the template.
Every type of slide has got a definition of how it should be laid out, how high the title should be, what font it should be, where it should be in the box. If you're going to have an image, how big the image. It's the brand guidelines can get really, the bullet points, exactly how the bullet points are do, what the bullet point character is. Some of the branding guidelines can get very, very detailed, and you may think that's a bad thing. It's not. Because why doesn't McDonald's have a logo that we will remember? Because it's branded.
And trademarked.
And trademarked as well. And everything that is branded is easier to recognize. And it just looks and it flows. So yeah, that's going to be a good challenge for Zoom. But if they carry on in the direction they're going, it looks to me like these productivity tools are productivity tools, because they're going to cut down the wasted time between one bit of content and the next bit of content. And if they do that and they look good.
And John, too, I was just thinking that you could always have the marketing department in a different location and you're Zooming with them, and you could actually have the marketing person actually do it live. And if I'm not mistaken, the productivity tools allow for live editing, right? Between people. Am I not right about that? I know that Zoom Docs can.
Yeah, it looks like that's, I don't know exactly the mechanism, but I agree. The sharing does seem to be there, because I saw it when I was creating a document, and I could share it with other people. You can't do I don't think, well, I don't think the share button's been updated in Zoom yet to, specifically do Zoom slides, but it's only been 2 weeks. Come on, give them a chance, guys. But I know that's going to happen. And
right. But you can imagine, the marketing department that all of a sudden, I've got to do my PowerPoint. I'm remote. I approved my PowerPoint. I'm about to do it in an hour, Zoom in. And now the marketing guys could tweak it live for that person. And then that person can actually now here's a question. Can we actually present from Zoom slides? So we can make it, but not. Screen.
Yeah, we can do a fiddle to do it, because I can just share the page, but it's not slide sharing yet. But as I said, it's only been 2 weeks. But I can see a CEO doing a presentation
from Zoom slides.
And I could see the presentation then be summarized into another set of slides for the shareholders.
Yep.
And it's the efficiency gains are just frightening, actually. They really are frightening, because I don't know how I would do this with, a GPT off the shelf. I don't think there's anything in PowerPoint that allows you to do this. And certainly it's not going to be as seamless. I mean, Zoom, the fact that Zoom runs your meetings, and then Zoom can then take that meeting content and put it into slides, into brochures, all the other things, is just, here's another silly example. Our friends at Blackmagic, when he does his 2-hour presentation to Blackmagic, when his next product's launched, if he does it on YouTube and I pull it into Zoom, I would get a transcript of everything he's presented. I could then cut and paste the product that I want to promote, and I could have a slide deck talking about it 5 minutes after he's finished his presentation. Just as an example.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Why not?
So if that doesn't get you excited about productivity tools, then I really don't know what I can say. But I am, and the more I play, again, the more this is what Zoom do to me. You see, the more toys they give me to play with, and the more excited I get, the more I find other opportunities for doing stuff with them, and then that frees up time. And that means I've got more time to look at more Zoom stuff to find out the next thing to play with. And my wife, well, my wife is my Zoom mate, I suppose.
I was going to say, I was getting live information, breaking news there. I didn't know where that was going on. That John's been really busy this weekend. I thought he was really busy. Okay.
No, I have a Zoom mate, so I'm happy, thank you.
Yeah.
But I think my friends think I'm weird, but that's fine because I was weird before Zoom came along, so it's got nothing to do with Zoom. I was weird. I've always been weird.
They're just Zoom's just helping you be more weird.
It's helping me being Zoom helps me be weird on a bigger scale than I could ever imagine. Thank you, Zoom, for that. I love being weird because, as I said, I have this very simple theory that we can only be the best versions of us. So let's all be us, and let's be different, and let's be individual, and let's do it with Zoom because it's just the easiest tool to do it with, and they just make it easier all the time, which is fantastic. So I think I'll have fun in July. I might be frustrated sometimes, in fact, but I'll have fun in July doing all those things. And if Zoom can release my polls app, just one last request, my polls app for me, so we can start working on that. Because as soon as they release it, I can then work on what the next. I'll need to get the feedback to work out what the next thing is that people need. But I'm loving life. I'm loving what Zoom's doing. And I'm loving the fact that we can do all these amazing things and we don't necessarily have to use AI if we don't want to, which was my biggest fear. And so as it's my biggest fear, I'm going to remind you, you do not have to use big AI bills to do all these tools. If the Zoom AI tools will help you be more efficient because you want to take stuff from one thing to another, then use them, but you don't need to. And so this tool, I thought productivity was only for corporates. I can certainly see how it will speed up lots of things in corporates. And we've given, I think, quite a few really good examples here. But I think even a small business, even a one-person business, I think will find these tools very tempting. And, maybe some other companies are going to lose out because of this. But that's all right. That's what the rules are. My final thought for you is this. When COVID hit, there were dozens of online meeting and webinar companies. Zoom was the right company in the right place at the right time that did the right thing to help us all through that time. All of the other companies that had the tech could have done it, and they didn't. And they are now going to forever play catch up. Because like Googling it, like FaceTiming it, Zooming is a verb. I have seen people go on to Microsoft product and say, I'm just going into a Zoom. It is the verb now to Zoom. And thanks to this new range of productivity tools, I can do even more Zooming. So thank you, Zoom. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mike, for helping me out and production studio. And I should have told you I was going to put this little logo up. Where is it? There it is. But it's yours as well. So congratulations to you joining the Zoom MVP program.
Thank you, sir. And
that is it for this Lord Zoom Live. Thank you to our guests for their questions. They were very good questions. We always get very good questions. We've got very quality. We always have quality guests with quality questions. That's fantastic.
Yeah, our YouTube audience are awesome.
They are. And I will probably take the transcript of this and see what I can chop it up and see how much content I can create with all these new productivity tools from this talk about those productivity tools. So look out for those. But for this Lord Zoom Live, I have nothing more to say than Mike, take it away. Do you like the rhyme there? Let's practice that.
That was, yeah, it was sneaky. Yeah, it's very subtle too. All right, everyone. Don't forget to, of course, like and subscribe to our channel to let YouTube know. And of course, it also lets our friends, our Zoomies know how much you love our content. And don't forget, we're here every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. I did it, Johnny. I did it.
Yeah.
Okay. And oh, look at him switching his name over as I do this too. Look at that. He might be doing something that he isn't talking about yet. So he's testing.
Yes, I do have some toys around this, which I will be talking about more in very, very near future.
Yeah.
Teasy
Tease that John Drinkwater. What to do with Lord Zoom? I don't know. All right, everyone. See you next week for another Lord Zoom Live. Take care. Have a great week and see you. Join us again on Friday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific for professional production power professionals. Production professionals. There we go. Production professionals power hour. I got to get used to the 3 Ps.
Yeah. It took 2 attempts for Suno to get it right, but you know, it now knows we are production professionals power hour. If you're into running events, that is the show for you. Please join us. It's all good fun. And until next time, whenever we see you, thanks for watching.
Yeah. Have a great week, everyone. See you on Friday.
Every week we open wide the virtual stage where ideas spark and wisdom fills the page. From the UK to the land of maple trees, John and Mike bring clarity with ease. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine your message, taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. We're building meetings, webinars with might, helping you shine your message, taking flight. Whether you're new or you've done this before, Lord Zoom Live will help you do much more. Thank you for joining us, we're glad you're here. Together we grow, it's loud and clear. On Zoom we connect, we learn, we grow. Welcome my friend, enjoy the show. From big events to breakout rooms with flair, we've got the tools and we're ready to share. Guest experts drop in, bringing gold each time, with insights and tricks to help you climb. Can't make it live, we've got you still. On YouTube and LinkedIn, we're giving that thrill. So tune in later or catch us next round. Either way, your success is where we're bound. Thank you for joining us, we're glad you're here. Together we grow, it's loud and clear. On Zoom we connect, we learn, we glow. Welcome my friend, enjoy the show. And make it live, we've got you still. On YouTube and LinkedIn, we're giving that thrill. So tune in later or catch us next round. Either way, your success is where we're bound. Now take the spotlight, the stage is yours. Bring your message through virtual doors. Each week we gather, and now you know you're not alone, so let it flow. Thank you for joining us, now go and shine. Share what you've learned, your voice, your time. With Lord Zoom Live, your power will grow. It's time to build your